Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Shri Saraswati Namaha. Shri Gurudevaya Namaha. Om Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Janmane Asana Grasaika Karmane. Brahmanande Vishayanandaha. This is the title of chapter 15, which we are supposed to see now. Brahmanande Vishayanandaha. Vishayanandaha means the bliss of objects. What a wonderful thing. Bliss of objects. But the first part of the title is very important. The bliss of objects, but Brahmanande. So this is last chapter. It should be speaking about the bliss of Brahman only, but it says the bliss of objects. Actually, this last chapter, and I remember previously I told you also that all chapters are independent. Chapters don't depend on each other. So something to study all by itself. But there is a very wonderful suggestion in the title, and that is, I once heard somebody talking about prayer, and they were telling about in the beginning when a human being starts to pray, he closes his eyes. And in all traditions, people close their eyes to pray. But he says, prayers that is really mature prayer is with your eyes open. When a person really understands things, so that time prayer is with your eyes open. It means that when one learns to appreciate the grandeur and greatness and all pervasiveness of God and all, then there's no need to close any eyes. So the same world which he was seeing before, he sees it anew. And the appreciation of all things in this universe is itself prayer. And appreciation is the highest type of prayer. So now, in the same way, right now, we are all enjoying objects of the world, People enjoy everything, When they go to buy glasses, and they watch in that mirror, to see how that glasses looks on their face, and they buy the one that gives them the most joy. Correct or not? That may be the most ugly and despicable looking glasses also. But that gives that fellow joy. And it gives another one disgust, so he calls it ugly and despicable. But he gets his joy from that object. So right now, all of us get joy from all the various objects. But that is accompanied by the wrong ascription of the source of the joy, the wrongful ascription of the object being the source of joy. And after studying the scriptures and going through the vichar and mananam, one comes to understand that no, the object cannot possess joy. The joy is in me. Joy is not intrinsic to objects. And not joy is in me also. Even beyond that, I am joy. I am bliss. With that understanding now, to live in the world and to see, it is with this understanding Gurudev used to say, for example, who says there is no joy in a cup of coffee in the morning? There is great joy in a cup of coffee. Even to think of it is such a great joy, or whatever people drink in the morning. Some place I had gone and they were drinking in the morning a beer for breakfast. Some cultures like that, these people and all. So anyway, the joy that one experiences from the world is only an amsha, we'll see that just now, an amsha of the joy of the Absolute. So, to enjoy that thing, thinking that that is the source of joy, that is ignorance. And to enjoy that thing knowing that the source is Brahman, that is knowledge. So one is an immature, ignorant state, and the other is a mature, knowledge-filled state. So the title is the second type. Brahmanande Vishayananda, the joy of objects in the understanding that all joy is actually Brahman. Bliss is Brahman. So it is in that understanding. So now, what has to happen? See, when pilots go to learn to fly plane, they sit down in a little room where there is a flight simulator, and they hold on to that thing, and they right there in a room only, and all the same things as though they are in a plane, everything is there for them. But that does not equal flying a plane. Eh? After they do all of this thing in a room, just like when you go to learn to drive, there's theory first, you know. He teaches on a board. I don't think they do that in Trinidad, but in some places they do that. So you sit in that room and you learn to do everything there, but it does not equal flying a plane. Because sometimes a pilot go to fly a plane in real life, and they're coming down. Sometimes a big air comes. I've seen some videos and all. That plane goes like this. He cannot touch down. A big heavy wind comes. So what we learn there, now we have to go and really apply it in life. So we will learn that bliss is not inherent in objects. Bliss is the nature of the self. But that is just learning in the class, in the room, you know. To sit down and internalize that and to know that my nature itself is bliss, that is a very, very different thing altogether. Second thing, when we say my nature is bliss, this raises many questions. They say, I will experience bliss, right? And at the same time, we say that in such a state, the instrument with which we experience, that instrument goes into laya, means the antakarana goes into laya. Laya means it dissolves. So the instrument for experience dissolves, and we say, then I experience bliss. So what exactly are we saying then? Who is experiencing bliss? So what we mean to say when we talk about bliss is like this. Remember, we were talking about in the Antakarana, we keep the Brahmakara vritti or Akhandakara vritti, whatever you want to call it. And once we stay on that vritti, with that vritti for a long time, the Antakarana now mimics its underlying Satchit Ananda. When the Antakarana takes the form of that underlying Satchidananda, then there is an experience in that Antakarana. Because remember, Antakarana is still there. It has just taken on the vritti of Brahma. And that Brahma is not only Sat, not only Chit, but also Ananda. And from our ordinary experience then, bliss is really a state of the mind from our ordinary experience. And bliss then will be what? Peace in the mind from the ordinary standpoint. When the mind has quietude, tranquility, peace, that mind experiences bliss. So in Vedanta, Shanti and Ananda, they are one and same. One is masculine and one is feminine. Shanti and Ananda, one and same. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita very, very easily equates this. Ashantasya kuta sukham. For a person who has no shanti, no peace in the mind, where is there bliss for that person? There is no bliss. So when the mind is quiet and peaceful and tranquil, that person is happiest. Because that which is at the root of the mind, which is Atma Chaitanya, is by nature quiet and therefore blissful. That bliss is called as Brahmananda. The natural bliss of the self is called as Brahmananda. In a quiet, calm, tranquil mind, that bliss reflects very clearly, and that is called as Brahmananda. The bliss which comes from objects is a wrongful ascription of this bliss. We wrongfully say that that bliss is coming from the object. It is really coming from oneself only. So we superimpose the bliss on the object and then we run after that object. The species have found very creative ways to utilize this thing. The human beings themselves make up a whole story and a movie and then get entertained by it. Who makes up the movie? Human beings. It's all false and nothing. Even the actors don't know what will come out on that screen. So we make up a whole thing as a species, and then we sit down and be entertained by the same thing which we know is false, which is all made up. And we sit down there, people sit down there on such tenterhooks, you know. Oh, what will happen next? No. And some people bite their nails also. And some tense scene is coming, you know. We make up the thing and we know it is all false, but we get taken by it also. An amazing thing. So here in the same way, we superimpose the bliss on the object and we run after it. So the locus of bliss is not the object, the locus of bliss is oneself. Now, when we wrongfully ascribe the bliss to the object, and then we enjoy ourselves, because we are not enjoying the object, we are enjoying ourselves only. That time, that is called as Vishayananda. So when we directly experience our own bliss, that is called as Brahmananda. When we experience our own bliss via an object, that is called as Vishayananda. So one is uncaused bliss and the other is caused bliss, you may want to say. And this is the very, very important distinction with regard to bliss. Now see that again. One is caused bliss and one is uncaused bliss. Uncaused bliss is my nature. Caused bliss is when I superimpose the bliss on an object and run after the object, and I acquire the object, and the acquisition of the object causes the antakarana to calm down, to get peaceful at that time, to become tranquil at that time. Now see, caused bliss again. What happens? I wrongfully superimpose the bliss on the object. Then I have the feeling, when I get this object, I will be happy because I think the bliss is there. So that thinking, when I get the object, I will be happy, is an agitation in the mind. It's a desire which is an agitation in the mind. I have to get this because it will make me happy. I have to get this because it will make me happy. I have to get this because it will make me happy. So that agitation in the mind quietens down when the object is acquired. In the quietening of the antakarana, that time, the mind, there is the perfect reflection of bliss of the self in that antakarana, and the fellow feels the bliss of the self because it reflects very nicely, because the mind has become calm. And the concomitance of the acquisition of the object and the experience of the bliss reinforces his prior wrong belief that the bliss is there in the object, and so he goes after it a second time and third time and like that. This is the idea, because the two things happen at the same time: the acquisition of the object and the experience of the bliss. The two sides of the same coin. So he thinks that reinforces, yes, when I had that doubles with heavy pepper and everything. Doubles vendors are gurus, you know. Doubles vendors are gurus. They make you one with everything. You go there and you ask for that, and you get it also. Anyway, see in Trinidad how a simple doubles vendor also can be so wonderful. So the person, the idea in his head is reinforced now. Oh, that object has bliss. Now in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a wonderful analysis of this whole thing about bliss. Let me tell you about that now. The Upanishad speaks about a youthful person. See, let me tell you the passage from the Upanishad. See. It says, Saishanandasya mimagam sabhavati yuvasyat sadhu yuvadhyayakaha ashishto dridishto balishtaha tasyayam prithvi sarvavittasya purnasyat sa ekaha manusha anandaha. Suppose there is a youth, yuva, young person. Now see, that means to say what? As long as the people get a little bit older, then all bliss also goes away. It is the drift is going to tell now. Because youngsters, they only go and jump and enjoy and party and run about, and they have no responsibilities, no nothing. So now he says, Yuvasyat, there is a youth, suppose. Sadhu Yuvadhyayakaha, this fellow is good natured, means he is in good frame of mind to also enjoy, right? And he is healthy, strong, endowed with all wealth and everything like that. Tasyayam prithvi sarva vittasya purnasya. He has all wealth at his disposal. Now see, how many things have to be there? This young person means health and strength and everything is there, all wealth is there, and his mind is in good shape to enjoy. Because if a person may have all those things, but his mind is not in any. And now the person in such a position, he says, what type of bliss he will have? He said that is, consider that 1 unit of human bliss. That is 1 unit of human bliss. And now he tells, the Upanishad tells, if you consider that as a measuring unit, now this fellow has everything. He is born with a gold spoon in his mouth. So, and that now is only, you consider that as 1 unit of human bliss. Then he says, the bliss increases 100 times each time, as he describes now, the Upanishad describes now other beings in the universe. So after this human being, then there is a Gandharva. And there are 2 types of Gandharva. There is Man Gandharva and Divine Gandharva. Manusha Gandharva and Deva Gandharva. So Manusha Gandharva is, how you will tell now? Some celestial beings. Some celestial beings. There is one who is called as Deva Gandharva, and then the one higher than Manusha Gandharva, and then the one who is higher than him is called as Deva Gandharva. So from this human being, you multiply his bliss by 100 times. Shatam is the word used there. 100 times, then you get Manusha Gandharva. Then you multiply his bliss by 100 times. So 100 by 100 is how much now? 10,000? You get a Deva Gandharva. Then you multiply his bliss by 100 times. Then you get a Pitri. The Pitri is in Pitri Loka. You multiply his bliss by 100 times. You get other Devas in Swarga. And you multiply their bliss by 100 times. You get Indra, who is the king. Like that. It goes on and you multiply Indra's bliss by 100 times. You get Brihaspati, the Guru. Guru of the Devas. And each time it tells you go and multiply that now. Brihaspati. You get Prajapati bliss. And you multiply Prajapati's bliss, you get Virat. Virat bliss 100 times again, you get Hiranyagarbha. Each time multiplying by 100. And one very interesting thing it says there. Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya. For each one of these that he's saying, he adds a phrase, the Upanishad adds a phrase there. Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya means one who is a Shrotriya. Shrotriya means one who has all the scriptures at his fingertips and he is devoid of desires. This person who is knowledgeable in the scriptures and devoid of desires, he gets the bliss of all of them each time that phrase is added. So one need not have desire to become Indra or Brihaspati or anybody, or any Gandharva and all. One just has to be knowledgeable in the scriptures and be free from desires. Like that, this bliss is described there. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says a very nice thing. I just want to read 1 or 2 lines for you. He says, Kim anandaha vishaya vishayi sambandha janitaha laukika ananda ahosvit swabhavikaha iti evam esha anandasya mimamsa bhavati. Means to say, in all this analysis of Ananda, bliss, whether it be this chapter or whether it be the analysis of bliss there in the Taittiriya Upanishad. He says all of this analysis of bliss has only one question to answer. Is this bliss derived from the contact of the mind with an object, or is this bliss swabhavika? Swabhavika means natural and intrinsic to me. He said any analysis of bliss is just centered around this very simple thing. Kim anandaha? Vishayi sambandha, is it the contact between the Vishaya, which is the object, and the Vishayi, the one who is experiencing that object? Is the bliss born from Janita, born from that? And therefore Laukika Ananda it is called? Ahosmit, or ahosmit means or. Swabhavikaha iti evam esha anandasya mimamsa. This whole analysis of bliss in Taittiriya Upanishad, and the same can be said for this chapter also, is just this. And please remember, I told just now that the bliss that is derived from the object, that is just part of the analysis. The bliss that is derived from the object is not derived from the object. That is just my feeling that it is derived from the object. So the analysis of bliss only has this very simple thing to deal with. Now see what happens there also. Remember in previous chapter we saw, see the game Brahman is playing with himself. Paramatma dvayanandaha purnaha Jagat abhavat, became the Jagat, and also became the Jiva. So he became the two things. So now Brahman, which has become both Jagat and Jiva, as Jiva superimposes his own bliss on Jagat. Brahman as Jiva superimposes his own bliss on Jagat, and he thinks to himself, if I don't get that object, I will not get that bliss, and that stresses him out. And the stress is also made up of Satchitananda. It stresses him out now, and now he runs after that thing, and he acquires it, and then he says, ha ha ha, I am so successful, I got it. Nobody got it except, that gives him additional joy, because I alone got it. And he now enjoys, like the camel enjoying its own blood after eating that thorny bush. The camel eats the thorny bush, lacerates the inside of its mouth, the blood oozes out, mixes with the bush, and the camel thinks this bush is so tasty because the salt of the blood adds a nice taste to the bush. So he is enjoying his own blood, but he thinks that the bliss is the good taste is coming from that thorny bush, and so he doesn't mind. He goes on. So this is the wonderful game which the Absolute is playing with his, and what affords the Absolute this opportunity to play this game? Its own intrinsic power called as Maya. And if it could not do that, if the reality didn't have the power to do that, then the reality is not Purna. You see? It will not be full, complete. It is missing a certain power. If it is missing a certain power, then how you say it is? Complete. It will say that no, it's incomplete, apurna. So this is what is happening, and this is the analysis. What? Oh, when that reality as jiva comes to realize, no, I was the one who wrongfully ascribed bliss to that object, and then I'm running after it. But what a foolish thing. And I'm stressing myself out. But the stress is okay if you realize the stress is also bliss. Because stress is what? Stress is a thought in your mind. Stress is a thought in the mind, isn't it? And we told yesterday, we were saying only the day before yesterday. A thought in the mind is what? Is a mental modification. Manovritti. Manovritti is what? A modification of consciousness only. And I told any modification of a fundamental substance doesn't do anything to the substance. So it is a modification of consciousness. It doesn't do anything to consciousness. Consciousness remains same. Any modification of a fundamental substance means if it is vivarta, not parinama. I told you about that also. So, stress is only a thought. That thought is only consciousness. And consciousness doesn't change. Consciousness remains same. So, where is stress? Don't get stressed out looking for it. No stress and nothing. So now, Bhagavan Bhashyakar says, really, the important thing in the analysis is, you have to ask yourself, where is your bliss coming from? Is it caused bliss or uncaused bliss? If it is caused bliss, that means there is sadhana to do, there is spirituality to engage. If it is uncaused bliss, then I am okay. Our bliss should be uncaused. Now, he introduces this chapter very simply. Now see page 48. Athatra Vishayanandaha Brahmanandamsha Rupa Bhak Nirupyate Dvarabhutaha Tadam Shatvam Shruti Jagau Athatra means now then, now here, now here, like that. How you will say in English, I don't know. Atra. Now here in regard to this matter, like that. Atra means Vishayananda Brahmananda Amshaha Rupa Bhak. That any Vishaya Ananda that we have, any bliss that of any object which we have in the world is only really speaking an Amsha of the bliss of Brahman. You cannot have two sources of bliss. There is only one source of bliss. Like the sun, there is one source of light for this earth. But it could be reflected in a mirror, and then, you know, in childhood I used to get some mirror and take it to school. That in our days childhood, and nowadays I don't know what children do, only. Yeah? Now they only exercise their thumbs. We used to take that little mirror in school and sit there and flush it everywhere. Oh, that was such joy, you know. And sometimes you do your hand like this and that thing dances like. So you can project some light, some reflection of the sun onto that wall. But really, we say the mirror is projecting this light. The mirror is projecting the light. But there's still only one source of light. It is being projected, but there's still only one source. So, when I see this thing, you can say it is projecting joy to me or giving joy to me. But when you just do the tracing back, when you trace back, the source is only one. He says Brahmananda, and all Vishayananda is Brahmananda Amsha. This is the first point. It is just a fraction or Amsha of Brahmananda. So the first point to establish is the object did not give me joy. The source of that joy is Brahma, and it is whatever little bit I get from there is Amsha. Can you imagine how little bit it is? The joy of an object is such a little, because just now the Taittiriya Upanishad I told you described a youthful person who is healthy and who is strong and powerful, has all wealth and everything going for him. There is nothing which he is lacking, and all that is only one cubit. He has everything, and all that put together is 1 cubit. So what is the joy you get from that thing, from this thing? That is like, it doesn't fit here. And that little bit of joy also is Brahmananda Amshaha Rupabhat. Nirupyate is described as a Dwan. This is the connecting point, and this is why the chapter is like this. Dwara Bhuta Tadamshatvam Dwara Bhutaha Tadamshatvam Shruti Jagau. The Shrutis say that the bliss of Brahmananda can be experienced by the study of the bliss of Vishayananda. In other words, the study of the bliss of Vishaya is the doorway. It's a dwara. Dwara means a doorway. It's the doorway to the discovery of the bliss of Brahman. And that is the analysis we were doing just now. The analysis is like that. I enjoy the laddu, let us say. We enjoy the laddu, right? So we say, first question, does laddu possess bliss? Is bliss inherent in laddu? No. How? Because if it were present in the laddu, anybody who ate the laddu should get that bliss, like that type of analysis, you see, and that type of rational thinking. If anybody who ate that laddu should get bliss, but I tell you, look, personally, me also, I don't like laddu. I prefer some other sweet. So if I eat that laddu, I will not get the bliss, but there is another person who loves laddu. Yeah? He will leave every other thing and go straight for laddu. Correct or not? So if, like how the fire possesses heat, anybody who touches the fire, man, animal or plant, they will get burnt, because heat inheres in the fire. But happiness is not like heat. Happiness doesn't inhere in objects. If it did, anybody who came in contact with the laddu should get the same bliss. But that doesn't happen. Second thing is, fire is today hot, fire is tomorrow hot. Fire has been hot from our ancestral times. Fire will be hot in future also. But the same person eating the same laddu, he gets bliss when he eats number 1. When he eats the second laddu, he gets bliss also. But by the time he reaches number 5, there is a diminishing returning value. That thing, isn't it? By number 10, bliss, not bliss. That will give him pain. So it is not that fire burns you for 5 minutes burns you for 10 minutes, and the fire gets cooler and cooler and cooler as it burns. It will burn you forever the same, isn't it? So now if you think like this, we realize, no, the objects cannot have bliss. This is just the rational thought. So the study of the bliss of objects is the doorway to the realization of the bliss of Brahman. That's called Dvara Bhutaha Tadam Shatvam. Second thing is, and what is important is, we say that the experience of the object, in the experience of the object, there is no denial that there was an experience of bliss. Please pay attention to that. In the experience of the object, there is no denial that there was an experience of bliss. The denial is only with regard to the source of that bliss. And that is why we say it is caused bliss, because it was caused by the experience of the object, but its source was not the object. That fact makes it an amsha of Brahman, but it was not, its source was not the object. So if its source was not the object, then the source was where? The source has to be Brahman, and therefore we say it is tad amshaha shruti jagau. And what is the praman for this? Shruti jagau. Shruti says. And I told you, our objective is not to see how the Shruti is wrong. Our objective is to see how the Shruti is right. And the logic which is just given, that the fire is hot today, fire is hot tomorrow, fire is hot every day, and then fire will burn everybody. That logic is showing how the Shruti is right. The logic has to be used to show how the Shruti is right. That the bliss is not there in the object. The Shruti says the bliss is amsha of Paramatma, Brahman only. Okay. Then now, beings only enjoy one small fraction of this bliss. Beings mean all beings now. Just now we are talking about Manushya, then Manushya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, Pitris, going up to gods, then Indra and all of everybody. They only experience a small fraction. And now see, when we start talking about fraction vis-a-vis infinite bliss, one fraction is as good as any other fraction, isn't it? You think about that, If I say I have 5 million square feet of space, and the other fellow has only 5 square feet of space. 5 million square feet and 5 square feet in front of infinite space, they are both one and same. Because 5 million doesn't fit here in front of infinite space also. Just as 5 doesn't fit here. 5 square feet. In front of infinite space, where does 5 million fit here? In other words, if this is infinite space and you plot on this graph 5 million square feet of space, and this is infinite space, right? That 5 million square feet of space, it will find any dot there? It will not find a dot. So, the analysis which is given in Taittiriya Upanishad, the human being has this 1 cubit then you go up to Manushya Gandharva, then Deva Gandharva, then you go up wherever you keep going up like that, right? Pitru and all. That is only an analysis for us to catch our imagination, to see, oh, that in this world there may be gradients of bliss and all, but this chapter starts out very nicely, that whatever bliss it is, it will only be a fraction of Brahmananda, and it is a doorway. It is something for us to study to reach the state of Brahmananda, the nature of bliss. Second thing is to remove our mind from that wrong understanding that the bliss is in the object. That is why the analysis of that bliss is given like that. Then he says, now see, number 2, this bliss is described. How? Eshosya paramanandaha yo khandaika rasatmakaha anyani bhutanye tasya matramevopa Eshaha asya paramanandaha yaha akhanda eka rasatmakaha. The bliss of Brahman, Paramatma, Paramananda is called here, Brahmananda, Paramananda is same. This Paramananda, Brahmananda is akhanda eka rasa. Akhanda eka rasa means unbroken and uniform. Now you see, whatever analysis we will do for existence, which is Sat, and whatever analysis we may do for Chit, which is consciousness, it is exactly the same analysis we have to do for Ananda. It is Ekarasa and Akhanda, unbroken, one uniform, homogeneous thing. It is a uniform, homogeneous thing. In other words, you cannot have degrees of what you call bliss or shanti in itself. Like you cannot have degrees of space. This is a very intense degree of space, you know. From that standpoint, this is less intense degree of space. This is one eka and akhanda rasa, one uniform, homogeneous, unbroken thing, right? Just like the sun. You should go and you leave our atmosphere and all that kind of thing. Means you go up higher where there are no disturbances and all. The sunlight will be one uniform thing. But when it falls on objects now, so because some object can reflect better than some, so when it falls on objects, its reflection may vary. But in itself, it is one eka, akhanda, eka rasa, unbroken, uniform, homogeneous thing. So also, different antakarana, our human antakarana, mind and intellect, will be different from the antakarana of a Gandharva and a Deva. So in different antakarana, that bliss will reflect differently. So that is apart from the fact that its nature is eka rasa, akhanda, unbroken and homogeneous. Akhanda means unbroken. Homogeneous is eka rasa, means one uniform, homogeneous thing. Eka rasa. So that is being described. This Paramatma is like this. Then the idea which I just told you is in the second line. Anyani bhutani etasya matram eva upabhunjate. Anyani bhutani means other beings, means all the different beings. They experience only one fraction of this bliss. And I told you where there is an infinite thing, where an infinite thing is concerned, any measurement we bring is actually like in infinite time, space or time. In infinite time, 1,000,000 years and 1 year is same. 1,000,000 years doesn't fit here in infinite time. That doesn't feature, just like 1 year doesn't feature. So, from that standpoint, million years or 1 year or 5 years, all same. So, here also, this bliss of the human being or the bliss of the devas, why that type of teaching is given, instead of, we were seeing, where we were seeing? Oh, we were seeing there in chapter 9. In chapter 9, Bhagavan describes there how people do a lot of rites and rituals and all that sort of thing for heaven. They want to go to Swarga. Why? Because they hear Indra's bliss is, or the Deva's bliss is this 100 times by 100 times. By the time you reach there, how many hundreds multiply already? So then Bhagavan says there, Swargatim prarthayante, they pray for heaven and they do worship and ritual. And then they go there. Tetam bhuktva Swargalokam vishalam Khine punye Dharap, they fall along back here. And while coming down, you don't know what you will come down as. You will come down as anything. So to encourage the human being not to waste his time in doing that, going to heaven and want to become Indra and get Indrapada and all of these things, this type of analysis is given where we say one in that infinite bliss, 1 cubit of bliss and Indra's bliss, they amount to one and same. Useless thing. That is the idea. It's useless. Both do not feature in front of infinite bliss. Both have no significance in front of infinite bliss. So why waste time to? But human beings only experience, or beings, this is Anyani Bhutani actually is given. All other beings, except Brahman, all beings only experience a fraction of that absolute bliss. The analysis of bliss also is given very simply by teachers in the Bhakti Marg, or well, actually not in the Bhakti Marg but across. See, why Gyan is so important. The bliss can be either Swabhavik, which we saw just now, or the bliss can be also intellectual bliss, or the bliss can be Vishayananda. Intellectual bliss is actually bhakti. What ordinary people, in other words, I have an idea of God, I have some imagination of God in my mind, I have something of God in my mind, and I dwell only on that. So it is not a Vishaya like this outside. There is a Bhakta and there is a Bhagwan. Remember in Bhakti Marg there is always Bhakta and Bhagwan. So see these 3 levels. One is Vishayananda, I get from an object. Then there is this bliss that people get from Bhakti, because the Bhakta has a great feeling, I am able to serve my Bhagwan. My Bhagwan loves me. I love my Bhagwan. My Bhagwan is so wonderful. So he has some idea in his mind. And based on that now, he gets a lot of bliss. It comes from an intellectual understanding. If he really understands Bhagwan, probably see how Bhagwan is, whatever he is doing in this world. And the other one is, last one, that is called Swabhavik. The yogi sits, and you know Bhakta and Bhagwan and all. The yogi sits quietly. And he goes inside and experiences that Akhanda Ekarasa Paramananda. That is the difference here now. So, if that Bhakta is able to do that, then he will not be Bhakta anymore. He'll be Bhagavan. Isn't it? For Bhakta, there must be Bhakta and Bhagavan. If he is able to go inside and experience Paramananda, Akhanda, Ekarasa, he will become Bhagavan only. But many bhaktas don't want to do that. But Tulsidaji tells in Ayodhya Kand, I don't want any of this dharma, artha, kama, moksha business. Janama, janama, rati, rama, pada. I want birth after birth to revel in the feet of Ram. So he wants to be a jiva and bhakta and let Bhagavan be there. Like that. Bhaktas say that. Because there is so much of ananda from a bhakta serving Bhagavan. Well, to each his own. That is also allowed. Anyway, whichever bliss we are experiencing, which is not swabhavik, that is only one amsh, correct, one little fraction. Now, that condition of the mind for bliss to reflect in the mind, we'll see tomorrow. I told it has to be Shanta Vritti. We'll see that tomorrow. Announcements. Today is Vanaprastha Dina.